keeping up with what you've been writing. I think all of us should, and I think you pointed out an interesting little tidbit here about Cuba.
Right.
Go with that.
Cuba has decided that the few remaining weapons that they fear may still be in circulation from the revolution, and hopefully there are a lot more weapons than anyone knows about. They fear their populace having them. Of course, when Castro first came into power, he duped much of the West, including most of our media here. No big surprise. It's not that hard to do. And it wasn't until like the early 60s, really, that he outed himself as a Marxist-Leninist. And at that point in time, even though he had won a revolution against the Batista dictatorship through armed partisans, he turned around and said, armas para qué? Arms for what? In other words, what do you need guns for? Give them up. And they collected guns from everyone who had a license to have one. And now apparently they have started thinking, you know what, there might still be some arms that are out there. So we're going to have what we call an amnesty. And that sounds so nice. We're going to have an amnesty. We're going to forgive you. And we're going to just let you turn things in, no questions asked. And what we want you to do is we want you to come and apply for a license and register what it is you have and leave it with us while we put you through a loyalty test and a psychological test and decide whether or not we want to give it back to you, but you can trust us. And so we're going to have this amnesty, and I believe it's like a 2-month period they're offering it. And this just goes to show you the folly of gun registration, that that's really all that gun registration exists for, and we've seen it happen in this country, in New York. We've seen it happen in California with the SKS Sporter. We've seen it happen in Canada with their long gun registry. And the true only purpose of gun registration is not to prevent crime, because you know yourself that the gangbangers don't get theirs the same way that we do. They use stolen weapons, so no amount of gun registration is going to bring in the part of the populace that is actually doing the damage. So the only reason that you have it is so that government has a list and knows who they can come and get things from if and when they decide that at that point in time they're ready to give something that foolish a try. My position on that to anyone who has that aim is, why don't you assume that all of us are armed and conduct yourself accordingly?
Hey, I like that.
We're not Cuba. Yeah. We're not Rwanda. We're not, France. We're not the UK. I just did a piece on the UK today. Those people over there are so convoluted, the police cannot even give a demonstration on guns without the antis bleeding like a bunch of sheep and going, the demonstration is too realistic. You're going to be somehow encouraging glorification of the gun culture. You can't reason with people like that. And as far as I'm concerned, you don't need to, as long as they leave me alone. If they don't, I'm doing what you're trying to do, what the NRA is trying to do, what various other groups are trying to do, and what a whole lot of activists are trying to do, and that is solidify our own resolve, educate ourselves as to the challenges in front of us, and wake up as many of our countrymen as we can so that they can see what it's really all about, so that they can understand what their freedoms are and do what Patrick Henry admonished us to do, and that is to guard with jealous attention our liberties.
No, you're absolutely right. And we have many friends over in the UK, and David, I have to tell you, if I had time, I would run some clips where actually the bad guys are coming in with swords, sticks, pieces of a tree, and they're still robbing. It hasn't stopped over there. If they can't find a gun, they use a baseball bat. I have a clip over there where they came in with a pitchfork. So it's absolutely ridiculous, and you're one of those guys who keeps a good finger on the pulse of what's taking place over there. Folks, now shooters, I'm going to repeat this one more time. I'm going to put an overlay up there. DavidCodrea.com. David is right up on top of this, and go to that, and you're going to enjoy what you see. David, thank you very much. I hope to again see you next week.